All right, here we go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Sunday morning/afternoon. CP the franchise here, Alex Ritaros on the ones and twos. The NBA report is back, man, live and in living color. On today's episode, we are going to recap NBA All-Star Saturday, man. The three-point contest, Steph versus Sabrina, the dunk contest that was rigged. We're going to talk about that. Plus, the Basketball Hall of Fame finalists have been announced. Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups among the marquee names. We're going to talk about that as well. Plus, some second half predictions, man, what we're looking forward to as the season comes to a close after the All-Star break. So lock in, hit that like button, hit the share button, and hit that subscribe button. The NBA report, man, back at it. CP the franchise, Alex Ritaros here. Al, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
Feeling fine,
Yeah.
So I'm chilling, enjoying this, trying to enjoy celebrity, not celebrity, the All-Star weekend, because I'm thinking about the celebrity game. But hey, man,
Yeah.
good week.
Good week.
Trying to relax, enjoy it. How are you feeling, though?
Good, man. It's been a little while since we've done a live show, man. You know, it's been a busy past couple of weeks, obviously, on KFTV. So, had to divert some resources there. But, nevertheless, I always love talking NBA, man. So it's good to be back on the show. And weekend edition of the show, man. So I like this format, this weekend morning format. I think is could be a nice one for us. So let's see how it works out, man. So let's get into All-Star Weekend, shall we? Friday night, you had the celebrity game. Nobody cares about that. But after that, you had the Rising Stars Challenge. Yeah, the Rising Stars Challenge. Team Jalen winning it. Led by the MVP, the hometown kid, Benedict Mathurin. They also had Jalen Williams. Derek Lively was on that team. Jordan Hawkins. You had Chet, Jeremy Sohan, Walker Kessler. What you think about the Rising Stars game, man?
I always enjoy the Rising Stars game
Better.
Because it's supposed to be like, all right, this is the guys we should be focusing in on coming in the near future, right?
Yeah.
Guys who should be potentially taking over the league or contributing in some way or some fashion.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy it, especially for guys who are in a lesser role on their team, right? We talk about Benedict Mathurin, as you noted, like he's not at the forefront right now, even though he's a key draft prospect that the Pacers drafted last year. He doesn't have that shine right now. He's coming off the bench, trying to work his way into that, but he gets to show and shine in these type of situations. And this is what, as a basketball fan, you get to see, this is potentially what he could be moving forward. So I like this type of games.
Yeah, I love it, man. Number one, they play hard. I like this game way better than the All-Star game. And they play hard. You see some of the Rising Stars clearly. And I like the format, how they chop them up in teams. You had Tamika Catchings had a team. Detlef Shrimp had a team. Jalen Rose, obviously, his team won. I like how they split it up. You have a mix of players. The G League. How about the G League team having to play in the finals, man? You almost had the G League team win this thing. So, I like it, man. The kids compete. They play hard. Wemby was obviously on one of the teams, so he was a highlight there. But I just like the overall mix of it. It's a great format, and these guys play hard, man. I like to see that. Paolo played in the game as well, so that was nice, man. Very, very nice.
Yeah, and Paulo, who's rising, man. He's getting some comparisons to seeing the shades of Carmelo Anthony in his game for the Magic, right? And it's just nice to see guys like this just have a platform because they're still young. They're not going to make all-star teams. You got all those guys like Steph, Dame, who are just solidified that are always going to make it every year.
Yeah.
They got the fan vote, as we talked about on KFTV not too long ago. So it's just good to see guys like this get their shine. I enjoy it.
For sure.
And as you said, they play hard, man. It's like,
hard,
they
man.
take it seriously because guess what? They're trying to prove to each other, like, oh, no, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Think about last year where Scotty Barnes, who was talking to Quentin Grimes last year, was like, you ain't him. You ain't him. That's stuff of that nature. Then Quentin Grimes decides to go out there and show out.
Cook.
So there's always an edge, man. There's always an edge in these games, and I love it.
Yeah, you brought up Quentin Grimes, man. Sound like you miss him, man.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But you know what, man?
Yeah.
We got your guy, so I know you're happy that even though you were Grimes Hive, you're bringing another guy that you fawn over, so I guess you should be happy.
It's a tough business, man. That's just the bottom line. It's a tough business, but shout out to Grimes Hive. But you're right. Like the competitive nature of it, you had Mathurin and Jaden Ivey going at it. Mathurin like, yo, bro, you can't guard me. I like that. And with Mathurin, they had Halliburton on the broadcast as a guest. It was funny. They asked him what his comparison for Mathurin was. He said Jordan Clarkson. What'd you think about that comp?
I'm sorry, hold on, because you cut out for a second. Repeat that one more time.
They were asking Mathurin. I mean, they were asking Halliburton who his player comp was for Mathurin, and he said Jordan Clarkson. What'd you think about that? I didn't see it.
I don't see that either.
I didn't
because
see
Jordan
it.
Clarkson, he's quicker, more agile. Like, not to say that Benedict Mathurin is not that, but there's a little bit more pop in Clarkson's game, especially when I think back when he was on the Cavs, the Lakers, and so forth. Like, Mathurin doesn't really have that pop. He has a lot more strength to his game.
Yeah.
But there's also another scoring element to it. Like, Clarkson came into the league just being able to
he's a microwave.
shoot the ball.
Yeah. He's a microwave, and Mathurin is getting there. He's shooting the ball a lot better this year for the Pacers. I think Rodney Stuckey at this point in his career, I think, is my comp. That's my comp. Rodney Stuckey. Rodney Stuckey is my comp, man.
That's a good one.
Right
I like
now.
that one.
Yeah.
Rodney Stuckey,
man. But either way, great to see Mathurin shine in front of his hometown crowd and showing some promise, man, of what the Pacers have in him. And he's looking good, shooting the ball a lot better, as we said. So you go into Saturday, you start off with the skills competition. All right, you have the skills competition on Saturday. Pacers winning that one. I could do without that one. You know what I'm saying? I could do it.
You know what the issue is?
Yeah.
You know what the issue is that no one cares for the skills challenge. I mean, hold on. Let's talk about this. You have Scotty Barnes dribbling and he's losing the ball as he's trying to bring it up court.
Yeah.
You also have Ant-Man shooting left-handed threes, and then he just time runs out for him, so he can't even get to the layup or dunk, whatever he's supposed to do. And it's like the Pacers, Team Pacers was the only team that took it serious enough.
Yeah.
And you have Mathurin, you have Turner, you have Halliburton. These guys, these guys were like, oh, we got to win something.
They got to win something because they're not going to win
something here.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. How about Mathurin talk about it? He just had to go Superman mode for the Rising Stars challenge. I'm like, dude, I mean the skills challenge. I'm like, it's the skills challenge.
It's the skills challenge.
What are we doing here?
Listen, I think you can put the skills challenge on the shelf next to two ball and the other failed experiments that they've had for All-Star Weekend. This is what we need, bro. And the unfortunate thing is that the money infused into the sport, while it's great for the players, it's great for the league, it's great for the brand, it's corrupted the competitive spirit of the weekend. Outside of the Rising Stars, bro, we need a one-on-one tournament. We need a one-on-one tournament, man. Let's see it. We spend all this time reacting and debating and who's the best. We have to see it on the court. A one-on-one challenge, bro. Can we please just get that? Start the thing off with the three-point contest, then the dunk contest, which we'll get to because it's become more of a joke, and then end it in who's the GOAT. One-on-one. I want to see Shea versus Luka, game to 7, round robin. Next up, get Brunson in there. Next up, Brunson versus Spider in the tournament. Who's the guy? Like, I want to see that. Tatum versus Brown. You know what I'm saying? I need to see that, bro. Give me a one-on-one tournament, man.
Just flip the dunk contest with the three-point shooting because the three-point shooting is much more entertaining than the dunk contest at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not seeing – I'll hold it back saying we're not seeing anything new, but we're seeing stuff that's still exciting. You know what I mean? But we'll get to the dunk contest in a second.
We'll get to it.
But I like the one-on-one idea. You just got to figure out how to make it competitive, man. You got to bring some juice to this thing. Like you could even make the skills challenge much more competitive than what it is if you told guys like, hey, like really work this thing up. Like notice that Trey, you saw, who was it? You saw Trey, I forget what was it, Maxey.
Yeah.
I forget the rest of that team. And Paolo, all these guys weren't really taking it seriously until the Pacers took it seriously in the first challenge. And they're like, oh, these guys are going to be the guys trying hard. I guess we have to step it up a little bit. And then you start seeing that, like, it shouldn't be like that, man. It should not have to be like that. Aren't you guys competitive enough as it is?
I got
out there and want to show
guys.
that you're the best at something. But the skills challenge to me is like, it feels like it's meant for honestly, you should get fans out there at that point. That's what the
Yeah.
skills challenge feels like for me. It's
It,
like
it
you and me out there will be much more entertaining than things that I could see Trey do, like especially like passing the ball. It's like that circle's way too big for them just to do a chest pass.
yeah,
Why don't you
yeah.
get some of the fans out there to do something like that?
True.
Make it a little bit more difficult for these guys if you're going to do a skills challenge. Like, I don't know, make the circle a little bit more difficult, have the floater be extended out.
Yeah.
Let's see some real skill challenge. And then like they have the windmill, like shoot a three over
What
this.
is shoot it
What are we
over the
doing?
windmill?
What are we doing?
It looks
Come
like
on. That's like
you
that's
know,
light work for these guys.
it looks like something that would belong in like the fan festival part of of NBA All-Star Weekend. Like they would have like the jam session where the fans would go and participate in like this little obstacle course challenge. It belongs there, man. But I just think they got to do one-on-ones. Jay from PR says they won't play hard for one-on-ones either. Injury risk for sure. TM says, and they actually going to show up for one-on-one too because no one wants to be that guy to lose a one-on-one. So there you have two polarizing opinions there. You know, could it hurt somebody's brand if you lose? I don't know. But yeah, so that was that with the skills competition. 3-point competition, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. You saw Dame take that one.
Loved it.
Yeah. Our guy Brunson, man, fell short. Fell short by 2.
I was really impressed by him, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was really impressed. He got 24. I mean,
yeah.
it just shows you how good 3-point shooting has gotten throughout the NBA. I mean, you had 4 guys tie at 26. So for that, I mean, he missed it by 1 basket. He could have tied. There could have been a 5-way tie, and then he could have been in, you know, that I guess that do or die matchup to see who was a finalist. But good for Brunson. I mean, he did say he wanted to just shoot better than Randall. He did that.
Yes, he did.
But hey, there you go.
He did accomplish that. So shout out to JB on that front. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good competition. Cat is always representing himself well there. Dame did well. Who else? You had Spider in it. You had Halliburton. The good names. You had a lot of good names in there.
Trae Young.
Trey was in there. Ice Trey was in there. I like the setup. I like the new setup. How they've kind of obviously with the introduction of Starry as a sponsor. You have the Starry Ball. NBA range has increased, so you have the Starry Ball where you can get 3 points for that. I like that. And also, I like the strategy of where you're going to put the money ball rack.
Yeah.
Different players have different hot zones. So do you put it in your zone? Do you start off with it? And if you start off with it, because some players have to get into a rhythm, are you taking a risk by starting off with it? But if you end with it, do you have enough endurance to get it off? So I kind of like that strategy of like where to put your money rack.
I know we cover the Knicks in detail, and so when I saw Brunson's money ball rack to be at the very end on the right corner, I was like, "It's not really your spot, bro." I was like, "Why are you like?" I get that this is like a Tibbs style offense where the corner 3 is the most that you take it, but he's usually shooting above the break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's usually shooting it at the wing. I was expecting him to have his rack at the right side.
Yeah.
Like the second to last one, because I think that's his best spot. I was a little, so stuff like that. Like I'm watching players where they put their racks to. I'm like, is that really where you shoot the best, or you're just having it just so that way you just get into rhythm and you think you're going to be going on fire right there? If I would never want to be second if it was me, because I don't know if I'm going to be in that good of rhythm to have it at second, and that's just a waste.
Yeah.
I know they always say above the break is tough. So I feel like that 4 spot, like when you're above the arc, that 4 spot, like I feel like that's the best spot to get it, because unless you're a knockdown shooter at the corner, that's a tough shot too, even though it's the shorter side.
Yeah. TM thought Brunson rushed it. I thought he started off a little nervous. It was a little shaky in the beginning, but then he got into a good rhythm and just missed it. Bro, you should have seen the bar that we were at last night watching this. You would have thought it was like Game 7 of the play.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I mean, once he started getting to a rhythm, and I think he cleared the top of the key rack, the whole play starts going crazy, man. And then once he missed the final money ball to get into that 26, everybody's like, oh, man. It was almost as loud as the reaction of when he turned the ball over in the Miami series, that lost the series. It was almost like, it was crazy. But the Knicks fans were at the edge of their seats, man, hoping that Brunson would have came through. He just fell a little bit short.
It's tough as a first-time contestant to really make it to the next round, especially – if you don't understand that rhythm or you don't get enough practice. Like most of these guys don't practice throughout the year, right? Like you do it as soon as like you find out that you're going to be in this tournament, and then to understand the speed and the pace to just knock down shots is tough. That's why when you even see guys like Malik Beasley, like it also varies for like your shot, right? Malik Beasley is the guy who has to set up and then shoot. He's not really a quick, release type guy. Same thing with marketing. He's not like that. Brunson is up there, and like he did well, but this is where you see guys like Dame and even guys like Cat that can really thrive in this. And you see when it's the last two finals are guys who won it, Cat and Dame.
Yeah,
And for Cat, I'm just saying it is too easy for him. He's a great three-point shooter.
Cat's
when he got to the starter ball, I'm like, oh, this is just like a regular three from him. He's shooting a free throw at this point.
Yeah. Cat had good rhythm in there, and Dame took it, so that was good. TM was asking in the chat, "What do you think of the LED courts?" I thought it was beautiful, man. It looks great. Looked great in the celebrity game. Looked good in the skills challenge and 3-point contest. I thought it was great, man. Added a nice aesthetic.
Look, depending on the celebrity game, I should say the celebrities in the celebrity game, I can get into it, right? Like Alex Tassad from Peloton was in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He did great. I'm like, all right, I got to see how he plays.
Yeah.
He always talks about loving basketball. Played well. This year, nobody really excited me. I mean, yeah, you had Micah Parsons who won the entire thing, but he's an athlete. I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they kept hyping up during the celebrity game. What'd you guys think about the LED court? What'd you guys think about? I'm like, it's just every single question has to start off with, how's the LED court for everyone you're talking to? It's like you talk to the coaches, you talk to the players, you talk to everyone covering like on the sideline. I get it. It's an LED court. First time we're doing this. Why are we asking the celebrities about this? I will say this, though. I did not like the 3-point shooting contest having just an all green.
You don't like that? Well, I did not like it. It was a starry theme, man. So they had to get to the money.
You got to figure out something. To me, man, it was an eyesore. I'm like watching this, and I'm like, my entire TV's green. I'm like, am I in the green room right now? Am I watching the New York Jets? Like, come on. I don't know about you, if you remember when they did the color rush thing for the NFL when they had the Bills and the Jets.
Yeah.
And it was like colorblind.
Giants
People can't see anything. Is that what happened yesterday for people who are colorblind? Could you not see the court at this point? Because
was it blue for some people?
I found it to be an eyesore. I was not a fan of it. Figure something else out, though. I get the starry promotions.
Yeah.
I was not a fan. I was squinting like, oh my God. I had to turn down the brightness on my TV.
I thought it looked good, man. Are you a starry drinker, bro? I never had it before. Is it like seems new? Is it Sprite?
I've had it.
Is it Sierra Mist? Is it Mountain Dew? What is it?
It's like Sprite.
So
with much more sugar.
So instead of 60 grams of sugar, it's 80 grams of sugar, basically.
Bro, it might even be more of that. More than that. It's a lot. It's a lot. I was like, because you know what? It was last year during the playoffs, and I was like, I've never had this before. They're hyping it up. I'm in CVS. I see it. I'm like, all right, let me try this thing. I could not even finish.
Oh,
like,
man.
I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm like, it tastes like very sweet.
It's
very
like
sweet.
Sprite. The new Sierra Mist. Well, it's owned by Pepsi, so I guess it's that.
Yeah,
maybe
it's the new
like
Sierra Mist.
But Sierra Mist was a Coke product, wasn't it?
No, it was a Pepsi product.
Sierra Mist was a Pepsi product.
Yeah.
Oh, so Starry is a rebranded Zebra. Okay, got it. I've been out the soda game for a minute, man. So I don't know. I just see it. I'm like, wow. Okay.
I just had to try it. I will tell. I did not go back to it. Right? Nah. Nope.
Not
Sorry,
for you.
You cannot. Not for me.
Okay. So let's everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex on the ones and twos. The NBA Report Weekend Edition. And we are reacting to NBA All-Star Weekend. Remember to hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so that was a 3-point contest. Let's talk about Steph versus Sabrina. This was the main event.
I enjoyed it.
This was the main event here. Steph versus Sabrina, the 3-point challenge. Sabrina Ionescu winning her 3-point contest in the WNBA All-Star Weekend last year. Stephen Curry obviously being the greatest 3-point shooter in basketball history. They go toe-to-toe. They shoot the fair one. Sabrina did say, bro, that she was going to shoot from NBA range. A lot of the haters were thinking, oh, she's just going to shoot from WNBA range. She said, nah, I'm in it. I'm in it in the same range, and I'm going to do it. And she dropped 26 points. 26 points.
She would have tied and made it to the finals.
Curry wins, but Sabrina, man, she did great, bro. She did great.
She was phenomenal, man. And I thought that was, honestly, to me, the best part of it. You got to see the two best shooters compete, and Steph won with 29, Sabrina with 26. I know some of the haters are like, well, she used a WNBA ball. The range is what matters, man. She's shooting from NBA range and still knocking them down at a high clip. And I was impressed. I will say this. Kenny Smith Kenny the Jet
let's
Smith.
talk about it,
Stop
man. Let's talk
being
about the
a
hater, man.
Good God.
Lord,
God,
what was he saying? Because I was at the bar, so I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear anything. What was Kenny saying this time? Who was he hating on? He's hating on
He
Sabrina?
was hating on Sabrina.
Oh,
He was hating on
man,
Sabrina. He was
bro.
like, oh my God, I have the quote right here.
Yeah.
He was like, what was it? She should have shot it from the women's line. Like,
why?
Dude, what?
Why?
Like, what?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, what did Steph finish with? Like 31?
She would have won if she shot from the women's line. I'm like, I don't get why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we trying to put Sabrina in a box and not if she offered to do this, she did a great job at it. And instead of saying she should have, how about you say phenomenal? This is why she's great. This is why she's one of the best shooters. She's essentially shooting it from Curry range, from the NBA range. And I'm just shocked that that's the first comment that you got to say. I mean, first of all, Kenny, you were just on one last night. You were close to getting canceled by people. My God. But to say that for Sabrina, just respect her and what she did. Like, come on now. That was just, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. Diminishing what she did on the court.
Kenny's been having a bad year, man. From the Brunson hate, the Knicks hate.
You know what's crazy? It's crazy that Reggie Miller had to be the voice of reason. Reggie Miller said, "Why are you putting those boundaries on her? She wanted to shoot from there." And the fact that I'm like, what is happening to this broadcast?
What is happening?
I have to agree with Reggie Miller.
Agree with Reggie. And I thought, and I was, like I said, I was at the bar, so I couldn't hear anything. But I just felt like the whole weekend, I'm like, oh my God, it's in Indiana. The Reggie pageantry is going to be too much for me to handle. I got to tune out. I got to put everything on mute because I can't stand to hear Reggie on a telecast, much less the whole All-Star weekend in Indiana. So Reggie had to be the voice of reason for this.
Reggie had to be the voice of reason. And then Kenny had to come back with this comment saying she should have shot from the line. There's a women's tee in golf, and there's a men's tee for a reason. Like, that is.
So this is funny, man, because shout out to Complex Sports. They collected a series of tweets last night around NBA Twitter reacting to Kenny's commentary. Joel Embiid, Kenny Smith been drinking. there's one. Hold on, let me roll it over so people in the chat can see it. Joel Embiid, Kenny Smith's been drinking. Who's this? Robert Littell, Black Sports Online. Kenny Smith, when he gets on Twitter, he puts the I got my ass cooked Adrian Bronner meme. Kenny Smith says literally anything. Kenny Smith about to be in the HR office first thing Monday morning.
Oh, we wait until we get to the dunk contest because what he said for Jaime Jaquez, I was like, oh, you don't even know?
We got player hater ball memes for Kenny Smith from Twitter Chappelle Show. It's thing is with Kenny, he's been hating on the All-Star game for so many years. Like, I get it. There's certain aspects leave a lot to be desired. It's not as entertaining as it used to be. But you can't do that as the commentator. You're supposed to sell it as the greatest thing going on. You can't be as bored as the people at home. How does that help? If I'm TNT, I'm going crazy here. Like, let me get Drewski on the mic or something. Like,
no, they got to figure something else out, man.
Get some comedians, man. Get Drewski, Kai Cenat. I don't know, man. They got to switch it up, man.
Something. Get somebody who is hungry, I guess, to want to sell the product because I'm out here listening to him. You're knocking. This was the most anticipated matchup where it's like, all right, the best shooters from both leagues are going to compete. And then you're saying, oh, well, it could have been better if you did this and did that. It's like, bruh, like, I'm shocked. And then he had the audacity to say, no, I wanted to shoot from where you shoot from, said Smith. And there's nothing wrong with playing with dolls, Kayla and London. Y'all good with that, too. I'm like, what? We're talking about playing with dolls to end this segment. I'm like, dude, you are just
crazy.
It is insane. If I'm TNT, I'm like, yo, all right, call Kenny up, get him, pull the plug right now. We're getting him off here.
He's been doing it for too long. They need some fresh energy. They need some fresh legs out there because he's obviously taking it for granted and he doesn't care. Let's just put it that way. And then he has his annual party, his birthday party, the night before. So he probably got a little sauced up, hung over the next day. He's like, all right, let's get to the bag and get this thing over with. So wasn't Kenny's best night for sure. Was not Kenny's best night. All right, so that was Steph for Sabrina. Great job. I hope they run it back next year and years to come because I thought she represented very well. She's gritty, man, and I like that the fact that she plays for the Liberty. She has that New York edge to her. She wants the respect amongst the league's best. She wants their team's respect in the league. Remember, she said that last year. So I like that. I like how she has that chip on her shoulder, man. Great job. Now,
and I thought she did a great job representing the WNBA too, man. I mean, you watch her on there's always conversation about how the WNBA doesn't get the viewership that it needs.
Yeah,
you hear how WNBA players want that same revenue sharing type structure as players in the NBA. I think she did a great job just by captivating an audience saying, oh, wait, she's keeping up with Steph from NBA range. I got to tap into what she's doing because that's what it left me. And I've tapped into Liberty games last year, but then seeing this, it's like, oh, the skills are like, yes, I get it. The physicality may be different. The speed may be different, but it just makes me want to go watch the WNBA this upcoming season to say, oh, I want to see how Sabrina could take it to another level because she is a rising star in that league. And stuff like this, man, I think it's a great way to collaborate between both leagues to get more eyes on the WNBA. So I was a big fan of it.
Great point there. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up on Free Boys. CP and Alex on the ones and twos. The NBA report rocking on a Sunday, reacting to All-Star Saturday. Okay, on to the disaster of a dunk contest. Now, look, we all know this thing has been cooked for years. I watch, and I'm sure you watch, I'm sure many people at home watch, just based on the nostalgia of years past, and you're hoping to get surprised, right? I thought last year Mac McClung's performance was a breath of fresh air, a nice surprise.
We got to go to the G League now, CP, to go get talent.
We're going to different directions. All right, we're getting closer and closer to bringing people off the street to do this, and so we'll see what happens there. But the thing starts off with Jaime Jaquez. And first and foremost, he had no chance. Secondly, when you start bringing out the props, he brings out Shaq, coming in with the camera. You're taking mad long to set up. First and foremost, you better execute that on the first try. Because after all that, you're taking mad long, and you don't get it, it's going to look even worse for you. His dunks were bland. His dunks were plain. Thanks for participating. I thought, he represented himself well, and he's having a good year as a rookie. But he comes in with the hat. It just made.
I was so thrown off by that one.
I was like, "What's up with the hat?" And then on his second attempt, the hat comes off. He botches it.
The first attempt and the second attempt, it comes off.
He was all over the place. But salute to him for trying. Now, this is when this thing got really egregious, and I literally just turned away. Our guy Jacob Toppin.
Nice.
Okay, he brings Obi out. I love that. The brothers come out, past champion Obi. Once Nick owes Nick, I kind of miss Obi, man.
Rocking Obi shoes that he wanted.
Oh, he did. Okay, that was nice. That was a nice touch. And I thought his dunks were nice.
They were nice.
I thought his dunks were nice. But somehow, he gets eliminated in the first round to Jaylen Brown, whose dunks were hot trash. Hot trash, bro. Hot trash. The judges should have eliminated themselves at that point. What are you watching? Man? I couldn't believe it. That Jacob Toppin, after two nice dunks, got eliminated. I think he had like a 47 on the second attempt and loses to Jaylen Brown, man. Your thoughts, bro? I couldn't believe it.
I mean, there were so many things wrong, and I know you didn't hear the audio for this. And once again, Kenny, the Jet Smith.
Yeah.
Flopping over himself, just like stumbling and bubbling on the broadcast. Thank God they went to Jamal Crawford after that one and Vince Carter to do the commentary for the finals because good Lord, man. But starting off, you have with Jaime Jaquez, as you mentioned. I didn't think he was that good. Like you said, having a good season. This is where it started to go south, especially with Kenny. Kenny sees the Mexican flag on the court. He's like, why is there a Mexican flag on the court? I'm like, and why are we showing Mexican players? I'm like, bro, are you serious?
Wait, why are we showing?
You don't know that Jaime Jaquez is Mexican? He did not know that, apparently.
But he was asking why they had Mexican players on there?
Yeah, he was like, why are we showing Mexican players and why is there a Mexican flag on the court? I'm like,
oh my God. Wait, did they do like a montage of Mexican
on the court? On the court.
Oh, okay.
On the LED court, they were showing the montage.
Okay,
and Kenny's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
So you
See,
can't put two and
he
two
was
together.
hungover from the night before, man.
I was like,
did
you can't
no
put two and
research
two
and just
together.
showed up
This
for
is-
work, man.
This is crazy that you can't even figure that one out. Kenny then goes on to say Darnell Tillman instead of Darnell Hillman,
Oh man.
ruining the voting for because he was impressed by Jaylen Brown's dunk, and I'm like, what? I was like, you were impressed by Jaylen Brown?
Bro,
What is happening, man?
his
Jaylen Brown was awful.
Were
All right,
terrible.
The Kai Cenat being out there as a prop, like you're jumping over him. Like I would hope that you're able to jump over him in a chair. That's not impressive to me. And then you have Tatum lobbing the ball, and then it was
and
just
he
so
missed.
bad.
He missed on the first one. He missed on the
bad.
first one, man. Look, I get the whole.
You even asked Tatum to practice with you because Tatum didn't even throw it right the first time.
Right. Look, I get. They bring Kai Cenat. I'm sure he was live streaming or something to Twitch or whatever the case. They really want to tap into that Gen Z, Gen Alpha thing.
Phone.
He dropped the phone.
No, he dunked it. He was like, Jaylen Brown's jumping. He just ducks it. I'm like, we're all over the place in this.
Bro, it was hilarious, man. So, like, okay, they want to really milk this thing with Kai Cenat. And I get it. He's hot right now. His brand is hot, and he's for the kids, and the kids love him. But he misses on the first attempt. And it was so basic. Who can't hop over? Kai Cenat's like 4'6", sitting down. He's like 4 foot. So who can't jump over him and catch a lob? Basically, you're jumping over nothing. So how is that even remotely impressive? Especially after he missed the first attempt, and then he still goes on to the second round. That was ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous.
And I didn't get all the tributes. When I saw the dude, I forget who came out in the Hawks jersey. I'm like, who? What? Like, what?
I don't know who that guy was in the Hawks jersey. But going back to the LED courts, the Dominique stuff, that was hard. Those are hard. That was hard. And I'm showing the Jaime Jaquez one with the Mexican flag. That was hard, bro. With the introduction of the LED courts, that was fire.
That was great. But you have you're doing these tributes to Dominique Wilkins and everybody else there. I'm like, but you're not wearing the jersey. You're not part of that team.
Yeah,
I'm so lost in everything that he tried to do, and I'm like, is it because he's from Georgia?
He is.
I know he's from Georgia, but I'm saying, is it because he's from Georgia that you're trying to attribute to Dominic? Like, then why don't you wear the jersey?
Yeah.
How come you're not throwing it on? Like, we saw Donovan put on former players' jerseys to do tributes.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me. And so the fact that he was in the finals with Mac McClung, because I'm guessing what they're saying is that we can't have Jacob Toppin and Mac McClung being in the finals because both these guys are G League guys.
They rigged it, man.
It would have been, I guess, bad for the brand, but it's bad when Mac McClung jumping over Shaq. That was impressive.
That was hard.
Clean.
That was Mac.
Clean.
Mac represented well once again and deserved to win it. I was like, get Jaylen Brown out of here, man. Mac put this guy out of his misery, and he did. Mac's dunks were great, very impressive.
Phenomenal.
He said he had some new ones in the bag. I'm showing this one right here, this little like corkscrew behind the back one that he did from the side. That was hard. So he represented well, but bro. Let me go back to this Jaylen Brown one. I'm trying to find it on the highlights. Look to everybody in the chat, man. Let me find this Jaylen Brown one. So he jumps over 4-foot Kai Cenat. They do an overhead thing of the Celtics parquet floor, like anybody cares about that. It's the game's in Indiana, but okay, let's put on the Celtics parquet floor. And then he ends it with the D Brown. He was doing so much. He tries to end it with the D Brown covering his eyes.
Yeah, as he's landing.
As he's landing.
How long? Did he even practice for this? Did he?
He did not practice, bro. He did not practice, bro. There was no way.
And then when you get to the voting of it, right?
Yeah.
Like Jacob Toppin should have been in there.
Yeah.
In the finals with Mac McClung, and that would have been much more entertaining.
Absolutely.
In my opinion. Like two great dunkers, and then you just see this, and this is why it's so hard to even get guys like Ja and Zion in it, where you see Aaron Gordon in the past get robbed.
Man, I missed that one, man.
He got robbed by Derek Jones Jr., who did a basic dunk.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin got robbed by Anthony Simons, who didn't even kiss the rim.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so when you see this, why would I, as a player, be like, why would I want to join this competition if I'm not, if I could put on a great performance and get robbed? Aaron Gordon got robbed twice, in my opinion. I thought he should have beaten Zach LaVine the first time because he came out with some fire dunks that year.
Yeah.
And then he should have beaten Derek Jones Jr. And like, you just see this stuff. And of course, Ja's like, if I see this, I'm not doing it. You have Aaron Gordon on Twitter be like, Jacob Toppin should have been in the finals.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, no, duh. He's like, he got robbed.
Here was Jalen Brunson, man, on Twitter. I guess Jacob needed to jump over the shot clock to get higher than a 46. Shout out to Brunson with the shade, man. I love it. I love it, man.
And you know how it's bad is that Matt McClung on air did not commit to doing the dunk contest next year. That's how you know it's bad. That's how he's like.
Max saying, cut the check. I'm out here performing. I'm in and out of the G League. Should. Cut the check, man.
As they should. He's the only one keeping it alive at this point. So the fact that it's like, I don't know, man. Like, if he's not even committing to it, and this is the biggest stage he's going to get on because he's not going to be on an NBA court performing with amongst some of the greats unless he really improves his game. Like, what are we doing here? And this tells you how bad the dunk competition is as a product. It's got to be revamped, man. And I think you need to get judges, and the judges always stink, in my opinion, at this point. You know what I mean? They're not really into it. And I don't even see them like getting all hyped and trying to sell the product. They're just kind of sitting there like,
you got to get people into it, man. You got to get people into it that are into it. Kenny, like, he's done it so many, man. You got to refresh it. Get JC in there on the commentary. Like I said, get Drewski. Everybody, all the kids love Drewski. Get him in there to hype it up. Remember last year when they had – this was a terrible idea. Remember last year when they had Draymond Green and Kenny Smith at the table at one time? Boy, that was literally the player haters ball, bro.
Oh, they did that. Don't worry. They did that this year. They did it. They had both of those guys commentating.
Bro, you can't have that, man. That was a bad look. A bad look. So
how about – here you go. This is the quote that Kenny had. Gary Payton is a hater by nature anyway. Dominique Wilkins still probably thinks he should dunk. I don't know what Darnell Tillman is thinking about. That's the one where he should have said Darnell Tillman, and then Reggie had to correct him, Hillman. And I'm like, dude, what world am I in that I have to agree with Reggie on stuff?
Right.
This is just so...
Shout out to Chase One in the chat. He took the words out of my mouth. He said, Dr. J, always a judge. He looks bored. You know, Dr. J, he's thinking about his days, his glory days. He's like, man, this shit trash. You know what I'm saying?
And I agree with him.
Yeah, Dr. J was not looking amused, man.
I mean, I'm going to go blame Dwayne Wade for this because he robbed Aaron Gordon.
He did.
He robbed him. He robbed him. You gave it to your guy who was on the Heat at that time.
Yeah.
That, if Aaron Gordon won, it's like, oh, I could potentially win. Now we're just getting some whack dunk competitions, man. I mean, Obi had some good dunks in the past, but there have been some years that it's just been awful. What was the year after Levine and Gordon? I forget who won. The dude was on the Pacers, I believe. I forget who that year was. I got to pull it up.
How about when John Collins put on the aviator suit and tried to jump over a plane? Almost destroyed himself, crashed on the wing. I said, boy, oh boy, all these props, it's getting bad out here, man. The LED court was the highlight of this thing, along with Mac McClung. Great job.
Glenn Robinson III.
Glenn Robinson III, yep. Glenn Robinson
That's
III.
how you know that's how you know it started going downhill.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's just something that, as the years go by, man, it's just going to continue to lose its luster. Like, you can only do but so much physically as a human being in this thing. Guys want to protect themselves. They don't want to get hurt out there. That's why you don't have the stars doing it. Just is what it is, man. It's not an evergreen competition. It's just gonna, continue to lose its luster, man.
And I think we need to understand that there's players who are better in-game dunkers,
right,
than actually Showtime performers, like
Starks.
Gordon, solid in-game dunker, and he could be a Showtime. Same thing with Zach LaVine, but. I watch, like, Jaylen Brown does have some solid dunks during the regular season.
Yeah. He'll posterize you. He'll put you on a body bag, yeah.
For sure, but creatively, he's just not there, and we see that. And so sometimes as fans, even though we want to see these players, we can get the letdown as well. I mean, think about Jericho Sims last year, which, by the way, Jaylen Brown made, shout out to our guy Gamba, said Jaylen Brown made Jericho look amazing last year with his dunks, ripping up the 50. But it's even like that. Like, Jericho is like a solid dunker. Like, he's got the vertical, but the creativity not there.
But most of the time, the bigger guys just, they're not going to fare well. So It's just one of those things. So that was that in terms of All-Star Saturday, man. And salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CPT franchise, Alex Retaros on the ones and twos. The NBA report in the building, man. Shout out to EJ1. He says All-Star festivities is an absolute joke. Brightest future, said Vince Carter and Dominique should always have a vote. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Shout out to TM in the chat. Shout out to Gamba in here. Mohammed Mustafa, salute, man. Repping Fresno, Cali. Chase 1, DJ Tiggs 13. Al, who you want to shout out in the chat, man?
Shout out to Who Is 6. Mr. Dons is in there. Shout out to Jay from Puerto Rico. GJ Tiggs 13. Shout out to you. You said Chase 1, right? Shout out to Chase 1. Shout out to Above the Rim. Shout out to you, man.
Salute, man. Salute to Above the Rim. Absolutely. You know what was so interesting as I was kind of looking at different, I like the behind the scenes content that the NBA puts out there from All-Star Weekend, and a lot of publications have it from people that are out there covering it. Man, how about there was a lot of fraternizing between Jokic and Luka, man. I had to throw the tinfoil kufi on there, man. Whoa.
Is that the only one? Because,
is that the future dynamic duo, man? That would be scary, bro. That would be scary, man.
Terrifying. But the thing is that Luka's been – I wonder if Luka would be willing to change his game because the Nuggets play such a free-flowing movement. Yeah. And he's been empowered in Dallas to be the guy controlling the rock.
Heliocentric. He would have to.
However – when he plays internationally, he does play that style of basketball. So I wonder if you'd be able to do that under Mike Malone. I mean, you'd have to, even though you're a superstar. Jokic is by far, in my opinion, he's just top tier, leaps and bounds better than Luka just for what he could do on the court. Yeah. You would have to, acquiesce to go play that team's brand of basketball if you go teamed up with him. But
that would
you see scary, that. Man. But how about the other two that we have in the locker room? CP, you want to throw that tinfoil?
Who we got? Who we got? Talk about it.
Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell.
It's in the bag, bro. it's in the bag. I'm trying to tell you, man. It's gonna happen. The Spider is coming
home.
Has
the personality to join this team, CP, in New York.
The Spider.
I'm not talking about the Nets. I'm talking about the Knicks, the only New York team.
Forget Brooklyn, man. You see what they're doing to Mikal Bridges. That guy is just like, man, he's a lost soul out there.
He's going on the roommate show. You see how he's essentially bound down in New York.
Come on, man.
To the Knicks.
You don't think Spider's watching that? This ain't a Melo situation here. He's coming to the orange and blue. Orange and blue skies. The Spider and Brunson on the marquee. Let's go. Let's go, man. Fit be damned. I'll worry about that later. Pull the trigger. The cost will be a lot cheaper. It'll be worth the risk, and we'll worry about fit and everything else later. We could reshuffle the decks, like John Smelk said on our show on Friday. The Spider thing. If it doesn't work, you could trade him. You want Booker? Go trade Spider to Phoenix later on and go get Booker when he's ready. You got to take the risk, bro. You got to take the risk.
I'll tell you this, though. Defensively, it would probably be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Offensively, it would also be a nightmare.
Like I said, all of that, I'm right on board with.
But you know what, CP? You know what? When I think about how OG has just transformed this, if you have a healthy Robinson and healthy OG, man,
I can't wait for that.
You just think about I know it's not. This is only pie in the sky dreaming right now, but to think of Brunson and Spot as a backcourt, both of them in isolation, how do you even prepare for that? And let's say you still have Randall on this team. If you don't have to trade him, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Listen, man, I know it would be a tricky fit. I just think it's going to happen. I've been saying it for a long time. I think it's going to happen.
Well, if you have Donovan averaging 30 like he is now,
and
Brunson can still put that out, you got to have to score to keep up with the Knicks.
I don't see what would have changed in terms of their priority in getting him. Well, they already tried when Brunson was on this team, and tried hard. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't a kick the tires type of trade. They were in it till the 25th hour. You know what I mean?
Yep. Donovan, you just know what you got to do, though. You can't allow the ownership to dictate where you go. You got to go out to the streets. You got to say, I want to go to New York.
Yeah, don't be Mr. Nice Guy. Burn that bridge in Cleveland. Cleveland even have bridges. Burn that bridge, man.
They don't even have pizza for you, my man.
They don't even got pizza at that place. Get out of there. Okay. So there's that. I was getting deep into my Knicks fan bag, but this is the NBA report, Al. And so on that note, you had also over the weekend the Basketball Hall of Fame finalists were announced, and in that list you had Vince Carter. Congratulations to Vince Carter. You had Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot, Doug Collins, Michael Cooper, Walter Davis, Herb Simon, the owner of the Indiana Pacers, the logo, Jerry West as an executive, and our guy, the legend, Dr. Dick Barnett, who's a finalist as voted by the Veterans Committee, man. What do you think about this list?
I like the list, man. I mean, everyone was just representing the NBA from some different era for what it stood for. Like Dick Barnett, right? Just
Yeah.
when you think about the Knicks during that time, he was one of those glue guys, one of those guys you could rely on to help you win those championships. So it's great to see him up there. Chauncey Billups, like I think about his time in Detroit and just his come up in the league from being a Celtic to get into Detroit to being on the Nuggets, man, to even his small stint with the Knicks, like just an awesome player and how he had to develop and become that point guard that he was. I mean, Vinsanity is just
Vinsanity.
What else do we gotta say, man? It was just like Vinsanity. It's like you just think about how high flying he was. I just go back to him being a Raptor. Like that was like I know he was on the Nets, but I just think about him as a Raptor. Like that was the iconic Vince Carter.
Vince. Happy for Vince. Definitely happy for Mr. Big Shot. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to the Basketball Hall of Fame, there's a lot of debate. Like, is this guy deserving? I just think the standard is a little bit lower. Not to say that Vince is not deserving, but I think the debates on who should get in and who's not, I think they're warranted. It's hard to come up with an objective, like, stamp on some of these guys. But for Vince, look, he had longevity in the league, finished top 20 in scoring. He was in that Kobe era where he was one of the best in the league, probably, top 5 for a good stretch of time. And he did, 22 years? 22 years in the league, man. A lot of people think about Vince Carter as just a dunker, and his team's never really had much success, which you could argue. But I think he's deserving to get in. I think Vince is deserving. Mr. Big Shot as well.
Look, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, first of all. So it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. Let's understand that we got to talk about his entire career and what he's meant as a basketball player. So that's what they're taking into consideration, not just his NBA career. And so when I think about Vince Carter as a basketball player, I think he's more than deserving to get in to the Hall of Fame. Let's keep it real. This guy was an 8-time NBA All-Star, 8-time NBA All-Star, All NBA second team, All NBA third team, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA All Rookie first team, slam dunk champ in 2000. He's won the Sportsmanship Award in 2020, and he also won the NBA Teammate of the Year in 2016. This guy is very well accomplished. All right. He's got the gold medal from competing in Sydney for the Olympics. Like, this man's very well decorated. And when you put all of that together, plus being first team All ACC, you think about his college career, being a McDonald's All-American, he is deserving to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, the Basketball Hall of Fame is not a high threshold to get into to begin with. So let's not make it seem like they have to be like this greatest thing. This is not like the Baseball Hall of Fame, the MLB Hall of Fame, right? Baseball Hall of Fame. This is not the NFL Hall of Fame. Like, this is basketball. We're talking about the entire sport as a whole. Yeah. So to me, when you start going down that list and his resume, he's deserving to get in.
I absolutely agree with you there. Very happy for Dr. Dick Barnett, man. Very happy for Dr. Dick Barnett. Another guy who is deserving of this, and I know firsthand how hard both he and his foundation have worked in terms of getting him into the Hall of Fame, man. They've really worked. It's been an emotional last couple of decades for them in terms of trying to get him in there and getting him the respect that he deserves. Because, like you said, it's not just NBA; it's also basketball, it's hoops, and he had a legendary college career at Tennessee A&I under John McClendon. I mean, they were a basketball powerhouse, and his documentary, The Dream Whisperer, is about that. For you guys at home, watch that documentary by Dick Barnett, The Dream Whisperer, about Dick Barnett, John McClendon, and the Tennessee A&I teams and their quest. He went out there trying to get them into the Hall of Fame. because he felt like they weren't getting their respect. I mean, they won 3 national championships in the, I believe it was in the NAIA. And, you know, having to go through segregated South and all that. I mean, come on, bro. Those guys are champions just for that. Forget basketball. You better recognize them just for that. But for Dick Barnett as a player, he did win the championships with the Knicks. You know, he did blow out his Achilles, so that shortened his career. Had a good career with the Lakers as well, a decent career with the Lakers. You got to put Barnett in the Hall of Fame, man. I hope he does get in this year, and the veteran committee shows him that respect.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely needs to get that respect, man. He should get that respect. I think it's just hard, especially like I don't know who's voting and who's all the people who are behind that, but when you gotta take into consideration like during that time, that era, and put it into perspective, like how he was competing, as you talked about, all the social issues that he had to overcome as well. That makes it much more impactful for what he did. And I know it's hard, especially if you didn't watch that during that time period, but you got to vote on it. But he's considered, especially in Knicks history, a legend.
Yeah.
Especially for helping get their first title. So I think you got to put him into the Hall of Fame.
No question.
Hall of Fame basketball.
No question. I agree with that. So let's see who gets in. Congratulations to all those that were named. Mr. Big Shot, that was my guy too, man. Detroit Pistons, don't forget. 2004. Led that team to 2 championships, 2 finals, won 1, lost 1 to the Spurs. At one point, he was definitely one of the best point guards in the league at one point, 2-way player on a team that didn't have a top 5 draft pick or top 5 player in the league. Mr. Big Shot, man. Can't forget about Chauncey either.
You know, it's so funny when bring up Chauncey Billups because I love him as a point guard, man. I think just his career path it's one of those where he didn't pop on the scene when he was out in Boston, and it took him time to really understand and develop as a player. And I think when you watch his career arc, it's very similar to most players when they get into the league, whether or not you're going to be a star in this league or whatnot. Even if you're just a really good role player, it takes time for guys to get acclimated to this league, and it depends on the team that you're part of. Because he was with Rick Pitino out in Boston, right?
That's right. That's right.
If I'm not mistaken. So Rick Pitino was not a great coach. That team sucked. And that was not a good place for him to develop. Once he gets to Detroit, though, you think of, wow, this is the guy. Like, how come no one thought about him? Oh, look how he's leading. Look how they're playing against the Lakers in the finals. Look at this run that they're on. And you just see how instrumental he was to organizing that offense, to being a scorer, and just phenomenal career, man. And it's funny. I laugh because I got into this debate on who's the better point guard between him or Westbrook. And someone tried to mock me when I said I chose Billups. I'm like, I don't think it's that hot of a take to say Billups is a better player than Westbrook from overall, like how he got there. And I was thought they were clowning me, saying, someone said they'd take Billups over Westbrook. I'm like, you have never watched Billups' game if you're going to say Westbrook. And the guy's comeback to me was, oh, well, do you look at his stats? And I'm like, all right, so you don't even watch the game at all to even understand what I'm talking about here.
No.
Let's move on.
Nah, Mr. Big Shot deserves his respect, man, because at his peak, and, you know, like you said, his peak was much later in his career, which is very interesting. He was one of the best in the sport, man. Absolutely. So, great discussion there. Great show, Al. What are you looking forward to in the second half, man? Real quick, rapid fire. What do you think?
I'm interested to see how the rest of the league just shakes out, man. I mean, you get this break. All these players get time to energize or hopefully heal up if you're thinking like the New York Knicks. But for the league as a whole, I'm just curious to see how it all plays out. I mean, the West in particular is just so stacked. It's a battle between the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Clippers right now. I mean, we're talking about teams that are within. The Nuggets are 3 games back from being in first. Clippers 2. OKC a game and a half behind the Timberwolves. Like that. The West is just so interesting. That top 4, I'm really interested to see how it all plays out. Pelicans have somehow been surging. I thought they were going to flop at some point. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And then for the East, man, outside of Boston, 2-6 is just even 7.
Dog fights.
Actually, I'll put down to 8 for the Magic too. 2-8, man. I'm curious to see how that changes, man. Including our Knicks. This is going to be tough. And if you're somebody like the Knicks, you know, you start seeing that It looks like OG will be back like around March 1st. You see Randall is progressing well, but he's probably gonna be back later than that. You see Mitchell Robinson out there training. You're wondering,
let's go, Mitch.
Everyone's gonna get back, man.
Let's go, Mitch.
You need them to get back soon enough so that way you can keep position. But man, this is gonna be interesting. And the Cavs have just been surging too, man. So I'm fascinated to see how it all plays out. Is there any team in particular you're looking at, or any player
with the West? Even though the standings might look differently, I think it comes down between the Clippers and the Nuggets. Who gets healthy? Who's the
other
healthy
two teams
team?
are too young, man.
They're too young and inexperienced. I think the Timberwolves and the Thunder eventually come back to the pack in the playoffs, even though they're having great years and deserve their respect this year. And their coaches and their star players have been phenomenal. I just think this thing comes down between the Clippers and the Nuggets. I'm very interested in seeing a healthy Kawhi, a healthy PG up against a healthy Nuggets team. Jamal Murray, we got to get him right. That series, I'm very fascinated to see. Hopefully, they get to meet. How about the Suns, though? Can't sleep on the Suns either, bro. Because their big three is starting to.
I'm not big believers in that Suns team, though. I'm not big believers. They're doing well.
You just never know.
Regular season doesn't like. I know we always talk about like it matters.
Yeah.
But when it all changes in the playoffs, I know you got to get through the race to get there for positioning and whatnot. But I just don't believe that team. I still think they're too top heavy. I think we start thinking about who's got the depth. Like Clippers got the depth. Nuggets got the depth. Thunder got the depth. Timberwolves, it comes down to the point guard situation for me.
Yeah.
But they also got depth.
When it comes to the East, it's just as you said, man. Like 2 through 8, what happens? Because the injuries with the Knicks and the injuries with Embiid and the Sixers, how does that play out? Or can the Bucks find their footing? Are the Cavs?
They lost to the Grizzlies before the break.
They just lost to the Grizzlies. Are the Cavs going to be legit? You know, Knicks versus Cavs March 3rd is going to be a major game. How does Miami going to look when Jimmy Butler comes back? Will Orlando regain their spot? The East is going to be a dogfight, man, 2 through 8. So very much looking forward to that. For you guys at home, thanks for joining us, man. Once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format, and support our sponsors, man. Underdog Fantasy. Use our code KFTV for an instant deposit match up to $100. CP the franchise, Alex Rotaros. Great show, Al. We out of here, man. Peace.